Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Tonight's video is sponsored by the letter P, and the title is Positives from the Pandemic. Now, the origin of the coronavirus pandemic can be and has been hotly debated. But that point completely aside, there are still things that can be taken away as a positive from this pandemic and the following situations of lockdown and quarantine. Now, has everyone benefited in the same way from these positives? Absolutely not. For example, some people still had to work completely regular hours, possibly overtime, such as the first responders and certain other essential workers, and they may have benefited in different ways than you or I are aware of. But I think in this situation, there are still positives no matter who you are, as long as you look. So tonight, I am going to list approximately 11 positives from the pandemic. And I'll explain why I think they're a positive, or at least why they can be taken as a positive by some people. Okay, so the first one is people who had to stay home have the chance and the ability to connect with their family in ways that people who are still working full-time don't have. There is that extra time where you are home together. In some cases, this is good. Some cases, this may not be so good. Yes, there are negatives such as domestic abuse that come out of this particular point that I'm making as positive. But for most people, this is a positive where they get a chance to really reconnect with their family in a way that you just can't do in a normal situation. That leads me to my next point, which is video calls. Now, whether it be Zoom or Skype or FaceTime or whatever format you connect on via a video call, it forces you to make that connection that you can't really quite get from a text. And a lot of technology doesn't allow for that face-to-face eye contact. It forces you to set aside a time because not only are you talking, but you're looking, you're listening, you are focusing on that person that you are video conferencing with. The third thing, a lot of people who are on quarantine or lockdown have been able to have a rest, a break from the ordinary, the mundane, the stress of their job. Other stresses may happen. I understand that. But in terms of positive, it's a relief from the daily grind because you have to figure out what a new daily grind is. So that is a break from the routine, mundane, that can cause people stress, boredom, fatigue, just mental blah. So, coming from that also, in that new routine, is number 4, different hobbies and perhaps home-cooked meals. A lot of times when you're working 9 to 5, you don't have a lot of time during the week to make that homemade meal. During this lockdown time, a lot of people have had time and have chosen specifically to make homemade meals or to start a hobby or to work on a project that they hadn't gotten time to do before. So that can be a very big positive from this pandemic. Number 5, this time away from everything helps you to really realize and see what is important. The family relationships, the ability to reconnect with people, the ability to take a break, a much needed break. All these different things, and for everybody it's going to be different. What you find important because of this situation will be different than what someone else finds important, and that's perfectly okay. Number 6, I like this one. Gas prices went way down. It was so nice to be able to get gas at the cheapest that I got it here, $1.22 a gallon. Oh, it felt so good to be in the teens and have my gas tank full. It was fabulous. Another one that's really nice about this is many insurance companies, not all, gave a reduction in your auto insurance during 1 or 2 months so that, because you're not driving, most people are not driving the full amount that they had been driving in the past, a reduction was given in your insurance rate. I know I received one at least in May, possibly in June, I don't know, but for sure May I received a discount and I was grateful. Every little penny helps. Going along with that theme, traffic was a breeze. I loved it. I was so grateful to be able to sleep in a little bit later and still get to work early. Not just on time, but early. It was so nice to be able to not have to fight the traffic on the way to work every morning or on the way home every night. That was a big bonus and a big stress relief for a lot of people who did have to do some work or their full-time load. Okay, another one going along, again, in that same vein, air pollution, water pollution, cleared up quite a bit. The smog over California was definitely lightened. The rivers and streams and lakes and waters generally have cleared up quite a bit. Now, granted, with all the face masks and the gloves that are being left laying around, that's not the best way to handle things, people. So if you're one of those, pick up after yourself. If you're not, thanks for taking care of business. All right, next is a couple of my favorite ones. More people chose to attend church during this time. Now, attend church is an interesting phrase because they didn't go to church because most places it was shut down and quarantined or banned for this time frame. But many places, many churches had their services online, and I know that even though my church has their services posted on YouTube after every service, Sunday service, we didn't have that many views, but put it on FaceTime as a, live stream, it got crazy views compared to anything that we put on YouTube. So people were there, people were paying attention. Now, would it be better if those people would come to church on a regular Sunday when it's not closed? Absolutely. And it takes effort to get out of bed on a Sunday when you don't really want to. Well, you know what? Sometimes pastors don't want to, and sometimes the rest of the parish doesn't want to either. But they do it. And maybe those of you who haven't been able to do that, maybe you should give it a try. The last thing, because of all these church services and because of the fear and uncertainty of the pandemic, a lot of people have gotten saved. They have looked to their future and they have chosen to take care of eternity. If Christians are wrong, what have they got to lose anyway? But if they're right and you don't make that choice for Jesus Christ as your Savior, you've got an entire eternity to lose to the gates of hell. So, something to think about. People got saved because they realized the severity of the situation. We're not guaranteed tomorrow. This pandemic could, or anything, a bus could take us out. So why not get saved now? You're not guaranteed tomorrow to do it. so many negative things have been pushed and talked about, and point taken, point taken, point taken regarding this pandemic. But it reminds me of what Joseph said to his brothers. And I'm going to paraphrase, but basically what he said was, when they sold him into slavery, and then they eventually came back to Egypt to get food because of the drought, the severe, severe famine and drought in the land, he was the one that had to give them food. And when they realized who he was, they were scared. But what did he say? Again, paraphrasing, what you meant for evil, God meant for good. So take the negative of the pandemic and turn it into positives. I'm certain that there are more positives that I didn't mention, that maybe I didn't experience because I was working part-time. Why don't you tell me? Leave some comments below the video and let me know what you saw as a positive in your life and in your situation because of the pandemic. So maybe it'll give you pause to think about life in a different way. And I hope it does. And I hope it's a positive way because of the pandemic. So feel free to like the video, share it, subscribe to the channel so you can see what's coming up next. The letter Q is going to be interesting. Got a good one. So I hope to see you again soon. And until then, have a very, very blessed night. Thanks, y'all.